Okay, I am at my old elementary school. School's out for the summer. This is right by their little walking track. I was actually here. This little plaque right here that my camera is set on is I was here when that was made back in 2006. That's crazy how time flies. Regardless, though, what I wanted to talk about in this video was that it's been a year since I've had this car. I got it in August of 2023. And within that year, I've put about 18,000 miles, close to 19,000 miles at this point. I still have about 1,000 miles to go, of course, to my 20K service. I've done 3 oil changes, 5K, 10K, 15K. I have changed my cabin air filter and my engine air filter at 15K in Denver, Colorado on the way back from Grand Junction, Colorado, which I spent a month in June. This car, I did not lift it for about 8,000 miles. So when I bought it in August, I did slow modifications. I did some underbody skids. I did some just like the Raptor lights, and just dash cams, GMRS radio, little seat jackers to make it more comfortable. So I didn't do any of the serious modifications like the off-road modifications like the rock sliders or the lift or the billet clamps or the KDSS bushings or the push bar until about 8,000 miles, 8,000 miles and beyond. So once I did that, obviously once you do that with that car, it just feels, I don't know, different, I guess. Hello. Oh, you're fine. You can walk by it. Okay, that's fine. Oh, you're fine. This is my old elementary school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That's but yeah, this the push bar and the off-road tires. I would say the off-road tires are definitely a modification because there's so many different ones that you can get, and there's mudding tires, there's off-road tires, there's these, street tires, highway tread. I definitely think that's a modification too. And so, yeah, like I was saying, I didn't really do the modifications until about 8,000 and beyond. Now, when I first started doing the lift, it really changed the look of this car from just kind of a stock car with some skid plates. And when I had the push bar on it, I had the push bar on before, whether you call it bull bar, push bar, I don't know. It was definitely sagging a little bit in the front. But now with the heavier 700-pound Icon springs that this car has, it looks balanced, it looks weighted, it looks proportional. But it totally changed the look of this car after I got the lift. It put everything together. And the rocks, I even liked it without the rock sliders, just the lift itself. Because when the Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro that I had, that from the factory already looked menacing, it already looked built, it looked ready to go. This one definitely looked more of a family luxury car that you'd see at your local mall or CrossFit gym or something like that. And it didn't really look menacing. It didn't really look like I wanted it to look. But it took time and it took a lot of money. Over the course of my modifications, I've probably spent about $15,000 or so. I think I did a video on it, but yeah, I don't know. The modifications on this car, they added up. They certainly added up quite a lot more than anything I ever did to the TRD Pro 4Runner. And I think I beat on the TRD Pro 4Runner a lot more. The main off-road extravaganza thing that I did, like proving grounds wise, was when I took this from Big Water, Utah to Escalante, Utah. The 80 miles, 70 miles off-roading in the Smoky Mountain Road, climbing the Kelly grade. I think, and I did that even though I had the bushing clamps, like the bushings were off and askew, and I didn't even have the billet clamps. So this car still soldiered on, and it did an excellent job. Now, however, all throughout that time, I still had that squeaking, that very annoying squeaking. Now that squeaking, just very recently, about two or 3 weeks ago, I contacted AccuTune Suspension, and I asked them, how do I get rid of that squeaking? and they recommended I use some Tri-Flow lubricant, I believe. I made a video about it, and I put it on the Heim joints, and I put it all over my upper control arms of my passenger side suspension. And you know what? It worked. And now I will say that was the most annoying thing. For 10,000 miles since I lifted the car, I had that squeaking. No matter where I went, driving all the way from Kansas here or there, as capable as this car was, I always had that squeaking. The only thing that I found out that was rubbing was the KDSS to the skid plates, and we cut that off, but I still had this annoying squeaking. And all it took was some lubricant. I was willing to go pay some money, take it to San Diego to AccuTune, but they recommend I just try some lubricant, a DIY, and here we are. It sounds like a luxury car now. There's no squeaking. It rides really smooth, and I love just, taking that, wooden steering wheel and just lightly, and it's hydraulic steering, which has more feedback and more feel. But it just feels like I'm gliding, that it's just a luxurious car now. It feels like a Lexus, even though on the outside, it's very much off-road ready and off-road built. However, I did not want to make this car a full-on overland build with a tent, roof rack, ditch lights, hitch with the tire. I still need to get a hitch with the wheel and a tire setup because I am winging it when I go off-road, lonely places. I am totally taking things by chance. However, I'm not really keen on overlanding or camping out in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere. It's not really my style. I'm too much of a I like a luxurious, I like a cozy life. But that's definitely, it's raining here a little bit, so let's go inside the car and continue filming. I am back in the car. It's a bit humid. It's actually 91 degrees outside, believe it or not, despite being cloudy. And because I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, it's very humid. When I was in Grand Junction, it felt more like Phoenix, although a much higher elevation, about 5,000, 6,000 feet. I actually kind of like the humidity because I'm brown, so my skin gets ashy, and it keeps my skin rather, it still keeps it nourished or hydrated. But out west, it gets very dry very quick, and you get nosebleeds and all sorts of things. But regardless, back to what I was saying. So yeah, my car, for 18,000 miles within a year, that's a lot of driving. When I had a Porsche Macan lease, I was supposed to drive only 15,000 miles a year, but I drove about 20,000 miles. So leasing is never in my favor. So yeah, this car, and like I said, this car in previous videos, it's an expensive monthly payment for me. I paid $1,230 a month for this car. And I got the Toyota or Lexus maintenance plan, so my services up to $75K are covered. My Toyota 4Runner only costed me $811 a month or something like that, plus $100 insurance or $80 insurance or something like that. I've noticed with insurance right now, I'm paying about $130. When I first got this car, it cost me only $80. I feel like insurance prices slowly creep up. I definitely need to check up on that, see what's up. So as far as cost, I just have my normal monthly payments. Now, because I'm spending a bunch of money on car parts, I wasn't able to make double payments on my car. So I could have accelerated my payments. When I bought the car, I bought it for about $65,000 with taxes. It became $67,000. So within a year, my balance from my finance loan from $67,000 is now about $56,000. So I've paid 12 months worth of car payments. Now I can fortunately afford that car payment. I can still go have an apartment. I can still go enjoy. I do live with my parents, so it does make it very easy and very convenient to have this car payment. But, and that's definitely a blessing and not something that I'm talking lightly, because not everybody has that opportunity. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, this car was affordable for me in my circumstances. In some people's cases, they may find it more affordable to get a 4Runner or maybe even a used GX or something of that nature. However, for me, I was able to afford the car, and I still am. And now, because I'm not dumping crazy amounts of money on car parts. I'm going to start making double, maybe triple payments a month, and just getting rid of this 50, because this is the only debt I have, just this car payment. And if I wanted to, I could sell it right now, wash my hands, and be free. But I like this car, and I like where it takes me. But whenever I come back to Ohio, I always feel like, man, it's so boring here in Ohio. I hate the off-roading here. There's just a bunch of mud. There's no dirt trails like out west. But if I keep looking for Utah or out west in Ohio, I'm going to be disappointed. But there are just general facts. I mean, the amount of activities that I can do out west in free public land that I can't do here is true. I mean, it's limiting here to what makes me happy here. So when I come to Ohio, I think about, man, I should get a beater car. I should get something that I can just put miles on and have good gas mileage. But it is what it is. As far as fuel range, when I first got the car, obviously the computer still has to do calculations based on your driving. But when I first got the car, the range was about 350 miles. As I started driving, I started driving more and more aggressively. Before I put any lifts on it, before I put any skid plates, I was getting closer to 320, 330 miles. And now when I start filling up the car, I only get about 290 miles to a tank, and I'm doing premium fuel. I will admit, when I was out west, I did cheap out a little bit, and on certain lengths of my trip, I used mid-grade and even low-quality fuel, just the regular fuel. So sue me if you would like, but I did what I did. I'm sorry. I know it's sacrilegious, but I had to do what I had to do. Sure, it saved me a couple bucks, but anyway, I'm back to premium gas now. I tried to look for Costco's along the way, and sometimes out west in the middle of nowhere gas stations, you don't have premium gas in certain places. But I will say, on average, throughout my road trip to Colorado, throughout the last 10,000 miles I put on this car, I averaged about 15 miles to the gallon. In the city, I get about 12. I get about 11. On the highway, on long stretches, the max I saw was 16.9. It was teasing me to get about 17. But, yeah, all in all, though, this car has been very pleasant to drive. And once I got rid of that squeaking, I really like this car. I think that was the straw that almost broke the camel's back, I guess, in this case. But as far as the interior goes, I'll turn around here in a little bit and show you how the interior is worn. I may not get outside because it's raining, but for the most part, this car has done really well, and materials have held up fine. Steering wheels have held up fine. The car has just done really well. Sound system, phenomenal. I just noticed in the beginning, when I had the iPhone 15 Pro, the Apple CarPlay didn't sync up 100% all the time. Like, it worked, but sometimes the volume just... Certain glitches would happen. Some things that I found annoying was that the center display did not... within my gauge cluster did not show what song I was listening to. The Toyota 4Runner has the same identical screen, but it shows you the navigation, and it shows you the song that you're listening to. So it was a little bit annoying when I first got the car that this car has only one cigarette outlet. It only has one household outlet in the back, and it's not even a 3-prong. I thought that was annoying, but over the course of the ownership, I never used those things. So as frustrating as they could be in the beginning of the purchase, and like you think you're missing out from the 4Runner, I never used those things. I don't have a fridge that I use. Like I said, I don't do an overland build, so I never really needed those. I don't do any serious power modifications to my electricity modifications. So it is what it is, to be honest. Heated seats and cooled seats have always worked fine. I feel like after a long driving, the cooled seats, you just kind of feel like... What I do notice is that if you don't have the cool seats on, like, your back gets a little sticky to the, when it gets hot. But when you have the airflow going, it keeps it really nice and just cool, and that's pleasant, especially in hot weather. Sometimes you feel like it's not making any difference at all, but trust me, it is. I don't have the air suspension, and I don't have the different drive modes. So, as to off-roading, because I didn't have those drive modes and things like that, I thought I was going to miss out a little bit. But truth be told, all I ever did to this car, whenever I went off-roading, I put it in 50/50. There's that channel, GX460 Off-Road. Really, really cool channel, and that gentleman out in California, in the deserts of California, he gave me some, through his videos, he gave some good ideas on how to off-road this car properly. Now, I did use downhill assist control quite a lot. It does not have the crawl feature like the cruise control that the 4Runner TRD Pro has, or some of the TRD Pro models. 4 low was very nice to use. I did not have a 360 camera, and the 4Runner I did have it, but I will say at nighttime the resolution was so bad, and when your car is covered in mud, you can't see anything anyway. So features that I thought I would miss in the 4Runner, I had some bare bones off-road features here. But to be honest, with nice tires, a lift, and the V8 torque, this car nailed it when it came to off-roading. I was surprised, and even when it was slightly crippled, so to say, like I didn't have those billet clamps and I didn't have those bushing, KDSS bushing parts, it still did fine. This car will take you to the ends of the earth. It's as reliable, in my opinion, as a Beretta 92 FS handgun, in my opinion. That's my favorite. That's my personal concealed carry, even though it's too big of a gun. Heated steering wheel, I used in the winter. I wish the heated steering wheel and heated seats got a little bit hotter, like some of the German Audi cars. Gauge cluster, I love the gauge cluster. It's not as oppressive as the 4Runner. I mean, it's simple, but I like the color and the tones. They look very luxurious. This car is a joy to drive on smooth roads. The V8 power, even though it's not a massively powerful V8, you still have loads of torque, and then higher elevations of 8 to 10,000 plus feet driving, where the 4Runner lacked, and I had to just dog that thing. The cruise control on this car does great. It's not searching for gears, it's just having a good time. But off-roading, I know that was the main purpose I built this car. I have no questions that this car will do what I want it to do. Considering I air down, I have an air compressor in the car. The only hiccup I ever had was I got a nail in the tires once. But other than that, this car has held up super, super well. I never really used third row. I was considering removing that, but I kept it. What if I have 5 kids or something like that? I don't know. So my next goals for this car are to pay it off. Is that considered a modification to pay off your car? But those are my next goals. Pay off my car and do a little bit more travel without the worry of stupid car payments. Just hustle. I was thinking about getting a side job and just dumping a bunch of money in my car to pay it off. But now I can make double and maybe even triple payments on my car. Now that I'm not spending money on car parts. Hopefully I have some more work travel that takes... I will say I noticed the biggest expenditure I have when traveling is outside food and gas. But outside, I like eating out sometimes. Yeah, these are just my unscripted thoughts about 1-year ownership. I'm really happy with the car. The payment's kind of stupid, but for now I can afford it, and God willing, I'll be able to pay it off soon. I'm excited to take this car up to northern New York at the end of August. Maybe go up to I'm going to the White Mountains of New Hampshire for a little bit, and then hopefully Maine or Acadia. I'll see if I have time. It's a bit expensive, If I did do an overland build or have a camper, I could sleep in that, but I prefer a bed at the end of the day. But I will tell you, it is getting expensive these days. Just staying a week at an Airbnb, it's cheaper to get a month worth of stay than a few days sometimes at Airbnbs. And hotels are ridiculous prices sometimes in popular areas like Acadia National Park and things like that. But I'm going to take this car on more off-roading adventures. I still have not used my GMRS radio. And I think I'll make a separate video on how my interior has held up in about 18,000 miles, but there's really nothing to say. This car still feels like new. It still smells like new to my friends who get in the car. It's done really well. It's a very luxurious car, and I'm happy and I'm privileged to be able to own it, modify it, and I'm really happy to see where it's taken me. So I'm just very, very pleased with my purchase. I don't regret selling my 4Runner at all right now. This car, all in all, is better than my 4Runner, and it has proven it that simplicity is the best, and simplicity can be luxurious. I have analog gauges. I have a CD player. I have all I need in this car and nothing more, which over the course of 20,000 miles, almost, that's what I learned. And thank you so much for being part of my car, being part of my journey so far. I'm kind of a, I'm not really like a YouTuber, like it's my career, but I just hope this brings some insight and some inspiration for you. So good luck on your off-road journeys. Don't make stupid mistakes like I do, and don't get stupid car payments like I do. I'm kidding. Do it only if you can afford it. And if it makes you happy, you can't take your money to your grave. And if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. But do it as long as you can afford it.